Okay, so tonight I'm going to do my tutoring lesson 6, 7, and 8 with my son Gabe here. Gabe, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
So Gabe has volunteered to help me with this lesson. And what we're going to talk about is how plants grow. And this is something that's very interesting, especially with young children, to try to understand their perspective of the process that plants go through and to be able to grow and go from a small little seedling to a big tree. Now, we tried sharing the screen a few minutes ago, kind of had some issues. We're going to try it again. So let's see if we can get this to work this time. See if we can show you just a few things here. So if I come here, this is kind of where we got stuck last time, but anyways, Gabe, what's this right here, buddy?
It's a seedling.
So down here underneath the soil, we can probably assume that there was a seed that was planted, whether it came off of a tree itself or whether it was planted. There's a seed, right? And up here, if you look, you can see these are seeds that have fallen, little seeds that are down in the ground, right? So what do you think this is going to become?
A tree.
Right? Do you know what kind of tree this is?
Let's see. Sequoia. That's what it says on the screen.
So what's another name that we call those?
Redwood.
Redwood. So how does this little guy like this become this big tree like this? What do you think the process is? Now, what I've done is I've given Gabe my my iPad, and I want him to kind of show you in his own words, using words, pictures, whatever he wants. I'm going to have him show you what he thinks, how plants grow. So you'll just have to flip it around, Gabe, and just try to explain it. See if we can. It may be.
It's probably too bright.
It might be too bright. Let's see if we bring it closer. So let's try to do this.
Wait, I just saw it.
Let's see if we can't make the screen dull. There we go.
There we go.
All right. So, Bud, why don't you explain to me what's going on here in this picture? Hopefully everyone can see it.
Okay, this says redwood, and this says sequoia. They're the same thing. And they both have red stems, both the seedling and the tree, like they're the red base. Then they both have green leaves, and they both are very, I noticed that the seedling has kind of a coarse or rough looking look on its stem, like bumpy.
Okay, so
when I saw it, and then redwood trees are like really barky and bumpy.
Okay, so you've done a really good job identifying what the tree looks like. That's awesome. Now, Gabe, where do you think it gets stuff to grow? I mean, what does it use to grow with?
So it can
What do plants need?
They need water.
Okay.
They need sunshine.
Okay.
They need soil.
Okay.
They can go off of different soils.
So explain to me how you get that little baby seedling like this, and it grows to be 100-foot high tree with a trunk as big around as a building. Where is it getting the stuff to grow that big?
It's basically soaking up the resources like a wet sponge.
Well, what resources is it soaking up?
Its roots are soaking up gallons and gallons of water.
Okay.
And otherwise, if it didn't have gallons of water, then it wouldn't be able to grow. And it's also through trial and error.
Okay. So do you think there's anything else that's helping the plant grow, or is it just water?
Sunshine.
Okay.
They need sunshine.
Sunshine. And what does sunshine do for them?
It helps. It helps helps the water to kind of circulate through the tree, I guess.
Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to get at, Gabe, is like you eat a carrot, you eat a potato, you eat this, you eat that, and you grow, right? You drink water, you drink soda pop, you eat stuff, and you grow. What does a plant use to grow?
It uses resources.
What resources does it use, pal?
It uses sunlight.
Okay.
It uses water.
Okay.
It uses soil, and it can also use.
So are you saying that it takes the soil up from the ground into the plant, and that's how it does? Okay.
Like nutrients, and it also relies on like animals and insects
Okay.
and things to help it.
What would you say if I told you that a plant didn't use soil to grow?
I'd just be like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
So if I tell you that a plant doesn't use any soil whatsoever to grow, that makes no sense to you?
Yeah,
What if I told you that the plant grew from the air that it brought in? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Explain to me how it makes sense to you.
Well, it can have different like holes and canals and stuff, so it can get the air in, and then it can use the oxygen and stuff in the air, and it can recirculate it.
But how, if it's pulling in air, how does it get that big? How does it become wood? How does it become the xylem and the phloem and the wood and the bark and the leaves and the stems and the branches?
It has a chemical reaction.
Okay, that's really good. So you think though that it grows big by using soil, by using water?
It doesn't really have to. Like most of the time, it relies on those things, but sometimes it doesn't have to.
Okay. Do you think though that it's possible it could use air?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why don't you go grab that piece of wood over there? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Now, if it doesn't use air, or if it uses air though, does air have weight?
Air doesn't have weight.
So look, see this piece of wood right here?
It's from an apricot tree.
Okay, this is from our backyard. It's from an apricot tree. It's a piece of wood. I want you to hold that. Does that weigh? Does it have weight? Okay. Does it have weight? What if I told you that that's because of the air? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me how it makes sense.
From formulating, it can build and create nutrients so the plant can grow.
What nutrients does it create?
It creates nutrients.
Everybody, by the way, my son is a 5th grader, and he's thinking, as far as I'm concerned, he's thinking on a 7th or an 8th grade level of science right now with the way he's answering this. Because I've actually seen seniors in high school who can't answer this question like he has been. Go ahead.
And so it can build, it can also say, like, oh, we've only gone this far, we need other things. So maybe they would rely on sunshine to help it.
Do you mind if I take a minute and explain this process to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the 1700s, there was a man, his name was Jean Baptiste van Helmont. He had the same exact question. What he wondered is how do we have all these plants on this earth, especially these huge trees? And everybody at that time thought the same thing, that it was from all the water and the soil and the photosynthesis that was going on that was causing these trees to grow. The photosynthesis would create oxygen, but they didn't really understand that process even that very well. They just thought realistically that it was soil The plant was eating the soil, roots were going down in, and it was pulling soil up in, and that's what was making the wood and making it grow big and making it large. So what he did is he created an experiment. I'm going to try to share the screen again. And this was the willow tree experiment. And how it worked was he let's see. Oh boy. I'm having a real fun time with technology tonight. It has not been on my side. I have lost my thing. We'll come back.
Wait, what happened?
Okay, so Gabe, what ended up happening? Let me just explain it to you, because I had some pictures to show you, but because of technology things, I am having a struggle tonight with this. Here's what happened. He took I believe it was a 25-gallon pot, and he planted a willow tree in there. And this was a study that he did over a period of 5 years. And he basically put all the soil in there, measured it all before he put it in there. Measured the pot, measured the soil, measured everything, planted this willow there, and let it grow for 5 years. And what do you think happened at the end, Gabe, when he tested how much soil was in the pot?
It was the same amount.
It was only like a couple of ounces less. And that could have been just from, and the only thing he put in there was water. He didn't put anything else into the pot. There was soil, the pot, and he watered the plant. The runoff from the plant, or the water and stuff, may have kicked a few ounces of dirt out, but it was pretty much the same. Well, that led him to think, well, what the heck happened? Why is it like this? And that's when he figured out that it was something the plant was bringing in from the air. Not the soil from the ground, not the water, not the nutrients, but something that was coming in from the air.
Oh.
What do plants take in from the air, Gabe?
They take oxygen.
They actually bring in something, CO2, carbon dioxide, right? And it takes that carbon dioxide, and through a light reaction, photosynthesis, it breaks it down. And what does the plant kick out of it once it's done?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Well, what happens to that carbon that's left over that didn't get used or kicked back out?
It's used as nutrients.
It's put into the plant, right? And that's how the plant can grow. That's how the plant gets big and dense and heavy, is it's just taking those carbon molecules that it's pulling in constantly through photosynthesis and stacking them on top of each other. So what I want you to do just real quick, Gabe, is just explain to me really fast how this process happens. Why does a tree why does it get so big?
Okay, so a tree gets big by when it's a seedling. It's very small, and it needs soil, sunshine, and air. It needs space, and it needs things to rely on. And the reason it's not like a big tree and it weighs like 5 pounds is because the air can get in CO2. It can take that CO2, and when it goes out of the plant, it turns into oxygen, and then that leftover stuff, what was it called?
Well, what's CO2? Carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the process that breaks that down?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis, right? So it goes through photosynthesis, it kicks the oxygen out, Then what?
Then you get something in that goes into the plant.
What is that?
I forgot what it was called.
What's CO2?
Carbon.
So when it loses the 2 oxygen through photosynthesis, what's left over?
Carbon.
Carbon, right?
Takes the carbon and it can give the tree mass, and it can also help it grow.
So isn't that funny how sometimes we see something that's out there in science, something that's out there, and we have these ideas, we think we know how it happens, and that's good because those ideas are what we build on. See, when Gabe first started here, you know, he sort of believed in his heart that it was water and nutrients and soil and all sorts of different things that were aiding in the process of the plant building. But the reality of it is that it's really just the carbon that's being pulled in from the air. The plant assimilates that as it grows, and it kicks the oxygen back out so we can breathe, but it leaves the carbon in the plant so that it can grow. So the process that we went through hopefully covers 6, 7, and 8.